Welcome to Heather Ewing, the CRE Rundown. This afternoon, I have an excellent guest that you are going to be excited to meet. It is none other than Emma Powell of Rise Capital. Emma, welcome.
Thank you for having me on the show.
Of course, my pleasure. And it was so fun just swapping stools per se and being on yours.
Yeah, it's like I love being a guest. I used to hate hosting a podcast, but now that I've been doing it for a while, it's like now I can see like there are differences between the two. And so some I like this and some I like that. So it's actually been fun to switch back and forth.
Definitely. So for people that don't know you, Emma, please share a little bit more about yourself so my group can get to know you a bit more.
Yeah, so I am a full-time real estate investor. My husband is a full-time real estate investor. He left his job when he was 48. I think that was the end of 2022. And that was a big goal of mine, was to retire my husband. We have 6 kids. I homeschool them. And I felt like our time location freedom was kind of being impinged by him having a W-2 that he had to report to, both time-wise and having to commute. And so I made this goal that we were going to retire him before 50. And then we did. And now we travel full-time. And I realized that life is not that much different than it was before, because it's more about our internal state of mind than it is about our external situation. And so now I host a podcast called Passive Income Adventures on a YouTube channel where we share kind of our travel adventures, but really just trying to get real about what passive income and real estate investing is all about. And it's not this pie in the sky, beach Mai Tais in Mexico. It is about doing the work, putting it in, getting the knowledge, education, making confident decisions, getting your money invested wisely, being able to live off that passive income, and then taking the time to really discover who you are, what you want, what makes you happy, because there's no thing that you can do or accomplish that's going to make you happy. People talk about, oh, true happiness comes from accomplishments and not luxury. That's all great. But I feel like true happiness actually comes from your relationship with yourself and your decision to be happy. So that's really what we're working on right now, from the stay-at-home mom, soccer mom of 6 kids, photographer on the side, all the way up to figuring out the key of choosing to be happier.
Which is huge. It's a decision. And I like that you clarify that, because so many people are, I'll be happy when. Right. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's an important designation. So how did you get into investing? Where did you learn about it? What sparked your interest in it? And for all the guys listening, I'm sure they would love to have their wives retire them too, if you're not already in the game. But give us a little insight into how you even heard about it. What triggered you to want to get into this?
Well, I mean, just to be clear, like my husband now works for me in my business. So maybe the retiring early shouldn't be on your goal list, because now I'm like a little bit like his boss. So the pros and cons to everything, right? So right. I got into it a little on accident. I was actually a real estate photographer. I lived next door to a realtor, and I was doing weddings, family photos, things like that, just a way to bring in extra money. I was teaching graphic design online. And she asked me if I wanted to come photograph her house because she was selling it. I was like, photograph a house? Really? Like, I had sold houses before, and they took one photo of the front, and that was good enough. But apparently in those years that we'd since bought our house, that real estate photography is a thing. So I went over, I shot her house, and I loved it. And I thought, I love houses. I learned how to draw and do graphic design on the computer, drawing floor plans. So I actually really like real estate. And that's the point. I remember as a kid, we'd drive by and they have those big signs up, like this new development's going up or this store is going. I get really excited. Even when I was very, very little, I remember like 4 and 5, 6 years old, as soon as I learned how to read, like, what's being built over there? What are they doing over there? So looking back on that, I love buildings. I love properties. I love real estate. And so it's really important that you like the business that you are running. Real estate has a huge income potential, and you can blow the ceiling off of any other kind of income that you're doing. For most people, fund managers, capital raisers, they really just, the wealthiest people in the world are entrepreneurs, and they can raise capital and manage funds. So people get tied into it because it makes a lot of money, or it's potential to make a lot of money. You really have to like what you're doing. So I just really loved real estate. And then when I shot her house, I was a real estate photographer for 10 years. Then my husband got laid off again, right? And we moved across the country. And I was like, I don't know, start my photography business again. What am I going to do? And so I started just attending business networking meetings because I'm an entrepreneur. At least I thought I was. And then I discovered investing. I'm like, I actually don't love running businesses. I love investing and watching my money grow and watching my bank account grow. And I love just not having to worry about money. It's like when you're really into fitness and nutrition, you kind of have to count calories and watch closely what you're doing. And I don't want money to be like that. I like money when there's enough that I can live like a normal person and not have to worry about pennies. I don't want to count that. So for me, that's a huge motivator. So I showed up at these business networking meetings, and some of them were those things where they're like, run to the back of the room and buy our program. And I'm like, oh man, how did I get roped into this? So I went home and I just started researching real estate investing, and I came across Bigger Pockets, started reading in the forums. They mentioned the national RIA, and I had 3 of them in my local town. So I joined all 3 of them. I just started going to the weekly meetings, and it was all downhill from there. We had some money from the house we sold when we moved. And I said, we don't need this to buy our next house. Just put a down payment, and I can take the rest of it. I'm going to go start a real business, like a real estate business that makes good money, where we don't have to worry about you getting laid off anymore. And it was just a few months into it that I was like, actually, I think that we can, I want to lay you off next time.
Right. No, that's great. So what kind of mindset do you think is required for investing?
Confidence. My investors, a lot of my investors, when they first come to me, are very nervous, and I will not take nervous money. And so I need to make sure that they are confident that they can make a decision, and that they're confident in their emotional fitness to be able to weather the losses, the ups and downs. It's not as volatile as the stock market, where you're logging on every morning, kind of freaking out and looking at like, I know what's going on. It's definitely more stable than that. But sometimes when a deal goes bad, it can go bad, and you're losing more money than you would, say, in the stock market. So even though it's not as volatile in the valuations, because it has more zeros after each investment, you just have to be able to look at it. So that confidence and that ability to go in and do something hard and something where you're losing a little bit of control, because I don't control the economy. I don't control the market. And if you're a passive partner, you also don't control the deal itself. It's just like the stock market. You put money in, and other business people run that business on your behalf. So that confidence and that ability to weather, the confidence in yourself to weather that is, in my opinion, number one, because I wouldn't have tried if I didn't believe I could do it. And when it got hard, I would have quit. So that confidence is.
Where would you say there was a particular person, or was it a couple people that really had a pivotal moment, or would you say it was the networking?
For real estate specifically, it was the networking and going to the RIA and seeing people that were doing it, because they're going to parade people in front, speakers, and some of them are doing notes, and some of them are wholesaling residential, some of them are doing multifamily, some of them are doing triple net industrial leases. It just is all over the place, all the ways that you can make money doing real estate. And some of them I really identified with, and others I was like, I don't really ever want to do that, right? And so finding something that I would get excited about, and I tried a couple of things. I always say 6 months to try it. So the people presenting there, also the people who are raising capital, because they're going to be more out there. They're going to be more out there on social media. They're more likely to welcome your phone call. So they're trying to raise capital from me, because we had, like I said, some of that capital from the house that we sold. And how much time they spent with me, educating me and inviting me to events, giving me free tickets to their conferences, or making sure that I had all the discount codes or whatever. So when I was at the beginning and I was like, I didn't really want to spend a lot of money at it, because I just didn't really know if this fit. They made sure that I had the information I needed, and they put out all sorts of, you shouldn't pay for information anymore, right? Everything's for free on the internet. So what I was paying for was their time to help me execute. And so that willingness to put themselves out there and share with me and educate me, that had a huge impact on me, my respect for them, and also the feeling that I had, like, they changed my life. There's no doubt about it. In a 5-year period of time, I went from stay-at-home homeschool mom taking photos, for some extra income, to now my husband no longer has to have a W-2. And even though they were trying to raise money from me and they wanted me to invest in their deal, so they had this, if you could think about it, an ulterior motive,
right?
The outcome was the same. And now that I'm in their same industry, we are legitimate friends. And I remember that. I have to remember that, because I feel like I'm oversharing on social media, oversharing online, spend a lot of time talking to people on the phone. And some days it just doesn't feel like anything is working. And why am I doing this? And I just remember, like, they stuck it out and changed my life. And I know that if I stick it out, I have the power to change other lives. And that's really what keeps me going.
Definitely. Well, and I think it's neat too that it came full circle in the sense of these people that helped you, even if you didn't invest with them at the time, that you do have those relationships now. And, I'm sure it's a matter of connecting them with other people. And have they invested with you or vice versa?
Some of them, yeah. One of my first investors, now I've invested with him and vice versa. I had somebody, I issued him a loan at the beginning. I did a hard money loan. Mm-hmm. And he was a house flipper, and he's since gotten into commercial real estate. And he said, "Oh, I'll never go commercial." And then he did. And he was, "I'll never syndicate." And then he calls me one day. He's like, "How do I syndicate? I have a deal. I don't have enough money. And my private lenders are not going to be able to cover it. I've got to go raise some equity partners. How do I do this?" So those types of give and take have been really fun because it's kind of like with a parent. When you become an adult and you're an adult professional, and suddenly your dad is able to tell you about his profession, but then you're able to tell him about your profession. He doesn't know anything about it. And now you're comparing like two peers. It's like that. They started out here, you were down there, but as you get different specialties, you can really trade information on equal footing.
Yeah, no, that is really neat. And within the investment realm, what's in an area that you really like to invest in? Or is there one that you're just like, hard pass on it?
Oh, it's important to understand that real estate investing, like what I said before, like I'm not actually an entrepreneur. I'm more of an investor. To understand that when most people say real estate investing, what they really mean is real estate business, transaction business. And the reason, like if you're a realtor or a broker, you don't say you're a real estate investor because you never own the property itself. You're in between the transaction. But I think where it gets confused is like somebody will buy a property, right, to fix and flip it. And because they own it for that period of time, they call themselves a real estate investor. Investing means you invest your money into something that's going to compound and grow over time. That's what investing is. And so if you're running a fix and flip business or a wholesale business, that's a business, that's not investing. And so it's really important to say what it is and what it isn't. And you're putting your money in the truest sense of the word, you're a silent partner is really what it is. And you're investing with somebody who is running the business. So the reason I say that is because I run a business raising capital from investors to put into projects that we find, vet, and manage for them. That is the business. So what I'm investing in is everything else, because I'm only going to do one thing and I'm going to do one thing well, right? And that is finding and marketing real estate properties. That's what I do. I'm not even actually that great at managing them, which is my dirty little secret. I have partners my GM and my partners who we really have our finger on the day-to-day, and they keep me, but I'm more on the front end. So what I invest in is broad, right? I invest with other people. We do private notes. I sold a few houses to the renters, and now I'm hold that mortgage. I have a couple of rental houses, and those are nice because they just pay me very consistently. I own several multifamily apartment buildings, and those are more long-term plays because our investors get paid first on those, and I get paid last or when we sell it. So I have a lot of different things that I'm invested in, but I don't need to be an expert at all of those things. I really just need to be an expert at what I'm doing, which is finding and marketing great deals to our investors. And then I have a wide portfolio because I don't want to be the person who gets caught when something turns and I was overexposed to it and now I'm sorry. I really like to have a diversified base because I don't think I'm a genius to be able to say, oh, I'm going to outperform the market, or I'm such a specialist and expert that I can put all my eggs in this basket. Right. That's not me. So I invest in most types of real estate.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. And I think to your point also of you don't have to know it all. And I think that's a common misconception of you can know a part of it really well, but then supplementing your team with the people that are experts in the different areas, that's how you create a really solid team, which is neat. What would you say, with the big money deals and things of that nature, it's definitely stressful. What's a way that you de-stress or decompress?
I don't like admitting this, but I love to watch TV. I'm a TV watcher. I remember when I finally got over my embarrassment of watching TV and now it's back again. I think I was a young mother and we took our kids out to an activity. Our neighbor actually had a telescope in his backyard, like one of those white dome style. And he was taking all the kids there, and we were there with, I don't know if it was a scout group or youth group from church or whatever it was. And And I was sitting there with one of the other moms and I'm telling her about all the stars and the constellations and the way the planets move and how the moon does this thing. And she said, where did you go to college? And I was like, at that point, I had not been to college. And I said, PBS. I mean, I realized like, wow, all this useless trivia that I know from all this TV watching and the ability to learn no matter what it is you're watching. I could be watching SpongeBob with the kids and I'm still learning something because I'm learning about color design, the business of marketing a kid's show, like anything. It's all valuable. And so I got more respect for TV at that time. And now I'm kind of embarrassed about it again. But yeah, I love to watch TV. I love to just learn random stuff.
Well, and to your point, it's really how you frame it. And I love that you frame it with that you can learn something from everything because you can. And I think so frequently you hear about people being bored or it's like, this is the same and that's the same. It's like, well, if you open your mind a little bit, you might see more opportunities of things that you're not seeing or you're not linking together. And it really does provide those opportunities.
Yeah, but the things that I do because they're fun, like I go after my hobbies hard like they're a job. So I have a lot of hobbies, athletic hobbies, musical hobbies, art hobbies. I love to travel and go on vacation, but that's fun. I don't necessarily find that relaxing, and that's not how I decompress. With the one exception, I really like hiking. You just get out there and you're looking at the mountains and you're doing your thing. But even sometimes I need to go home and watch some TV to decompress from the hiking. So to just relax and melt and kind of turn my brain off, it's not from any of my hobbies or any of that kind of stuff. It's that takes more out of me than it puts into me. And that's where I make that distinction. Am I relaxing or am I working or playing?
Right. No, that's so true. It's energy in, energy out. That's what it comes down to. Yep. But you have, so you've got this really cool story and just life experience of the 6 kids getting into investing, retiring your husband per se from the W-2, and you're just a wealth of knowledge. So it's so nice to have you here. But before we take this for a quick wrap, because then I want to make sure that people know where they can reach you to learn more, to, get a referral, maybe invest with you, whatever it might be, just to connect. Before we do that, what would you say, what does living fully mean to you, Emma?
It's choice and it's play. I used to say freedom, right? But I recognize that word freedom was stressing me out. I felt like a freedom fighter, like I was fighting something. I wanted freedom to get away from something, like you're escaping something. And so one year when you're picking out the word of the year, I went with playful, because why do you even want freedom? It's so you can play more. So your work feels like play. The work that you could choose feel like play. The people you choose to have in your life feels like fun when you're together, whether it's your kids or a work colleague. I just want to have the choice to turn more things into play. Watching TV is a perfect example. I want to watch a non-fiction educational type of thing, and I want to learn something from it. Most people wouldn't see that as play, right? But so that you're doing things and everything feels like you're playing. So to me, living fully is having that choice to find wonder and playfulness in everything that we're doing. So we're traveling full time right now, and people are looking at, oh, your husband's retired early and you're traveling full time. You guys are living the dream. It has nothing to do with any of that. It has to do with that choice to be happy and that choice to live a more grateful and playful life.
I love it. Perfectly said. And before we end it, how can people connect with you?
Okay, so I specialize in raising money. So if you want to invest money, get a hold of me at investwithemmacom. That's Rise Capital. You just get right on my calendar. Let's talk. You want to be an active investor and run a business? Do you want to be just passive and put in money like we talked about before? So investwithemmacom. Let's have a phone call. That's how you get stuff done in this business. You got to network, right? And people are like, oh, I know you're putting on an annoying email list or any of that. Like, no, just let's have a conversation. But if you are raising money, I can help you out with that too. I do pitch deck design. That's my professional background. I stopped doing it for a few years and I really missed it. So I added that back in. So if you are raising capital from investors or you're an investor with capital, go ahead and get a hold of me at investwithemmacom and we can talk about what you need to get your project done.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Emma. It was so nice having you on.
Thank you so much. This is fun. I love these fast ones. It's just like
exactly.
All
right. Thanks.